Here we have a most magnificent ship, a model of a 17th century warship. This is such a beautiful and peaceful model, so beautifully made, probably by a real shipbuilder. And the Zeeland Navy had this ship grandly on display. In real life, though, things were slightly different. Things weren't so peaceful and beautiful. What you have to realize is that a ship like this was in fact a floating fighting machine. It was 50 meters long and had some 250 men on board, sailors and soldiers. These warships used to accompany the merchant ships, and they were often at sea for more than 18 months at a time. And the smell below deck was horrendous. I mean, unwashed bodies, vomit, diarrhea, stale washwater. And as for personal hygiene, of course, there was none to speak of. They were on duty for 4 hours a day. And then they had guard duty, they had repairs to do, they had to clean, hoist the sails, lower the sails, and so it went on. You can imagine that there needed to be strict order and discipline on a ship like that, because otherwise things would quickly get out of hand. There was a mishmash of languages spoken on board, because many of the crew members were from abroad. They were immigrant workers, so to speak. They ate porridge with prunes, yellow peas, cured meat, stockfish, bacon, that type of thing. They all had huge vitamin deficiency and had scurvy, of course, which was an incredibly unpleasant way to die. And there were other diseases too, like malaria, typhus, and so on. It was also pretty dangerous on board, especially during a battle, when the cannon were fired. Imagine the backfire from these huge cannon. Take a look behind you. There. That's one of such cannon. You can see how big the cannonball was that was used. They weighed something like 12 kilos. And they had to fire at close range. And so they had to get very close to the other ship. And to use the cannon on the other side of the ship, they had to turn it around completely. And that took a while, of course. And then they were ready to fire again. So it was basically a pretty miserable existence on board a ship like this. And to get an idea of what it was like, turn around and take a look there, on the left, you see, next to the suit of armor. And that painting is called The Explosion of the Spanish Flagship During the Battle of Gibraltar. I don't know whether the artist painted this from his imagination or whether he made it up from stories told by survivors, but it gives some idea of what went on. It's about the Battle of Gibraltar in 1607, and that was the first time that the Dutch defeated the Spanish on their own territory. 400 Spanish men died and 100 men on the Dutch side. And the painting shows the crucial moment when the Spanish flagship exploded as it was rammed by the Dutch, as you can see. People are blasted into the sky with the force of the explosion. And if they survived, then they drowned when they landed in the water because they couldn't swim. Do go and take a closer look. There's so much detail, it's unbelievably beautiful. Take a good look for yourself. Those screaming people, for instance, in the crow's nest, you see? Just look. Discover it for yourself.